Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday morning. I'm out in the garage. Yesterday was a wild day. We had a great day. We got up in the morning. I took a bunch of my stuff out to the venue 328 where I sell and dropped it off. Got my little booth set up. Then we had an archery tournament. After the tournament, we went and saw, as a family, we went and saw Beauty and the Beast, which was really a good movie. Everybody really liked it. Grabbed a little lunch, dropped my son off at his theater practice, did a little bit of shopping, and it was a busy day. And I got home later in the evening, and I came out and I worked on my car a little bit, and I did shoot some video footage, but I really accomplished nothing yesterday. I found one thing, and I'll talk about that real quick, and then I'll start working on it today. But anyway, I did a lot of research last night. That's why I didn't post the video. And I truly believe I have a vacuum leak on my motor. From everything I've read, I followed a lot of leads last night. You know, I ended up going down rabbit holes, you know, looking at the harmonic balancer, which is definitely not a harmonic balancer. I mean, it's strictly when the car, I'm driving down the road, it comes to a red light, I stop, and it will idle, and it'll start getting a little bit rougher. And I really think what it is I've got a vacuum leak that is sucking additional air into the motor. And then, of course, the fuel is running probably lean because there's too much air, or the motor's running lean because there's too much air. And I really feel like that's my problem. And what I'm going to do is, I started this last night, and it worked. It helped me find one issue. I went to the gas station and picked up some incense sticks because they just smoke. And I liked them, and I let it smoke, and I hold it down around the motor. And I ended up finding last night that my idle air control, you might remember I replaced that maybe a week ago or so, but I found that the idle air control, it was sucking air all around the control. Now, you might remember I had found an O-ring in the box, and I put the O-ring on, but I had the thing in and out multiple times because I dropped the screw, and I'm worried there was no O-ring on it. And I don't know if the O-ring went in and it didn't seat properly and got sucked into the motor, or if I had it in and out so many times that I knocked the O-ring off and it fell down in the engine compartment and probably blew out on the road somewhere. I don't know, but there was no O-ring. So I ran up to the auto parts store and I picked up one of those little boxes of all different size O-rings, and it had, had the proper size in there. So I put a new O-ring in, I tightened it back down, held the incense around it, nothing. No, the smoke just went straight up. So I got that vacuum leak fixed. That was... My car had started running worse. It started to run better when I put the IAC in. Then it began running worse again. So I'm sure without having that O-ring in there, it was sucking air, and that's what was causing it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to start the motor up, and I'm going to light the incense, and I'm going to hold it anywhere I can find a vacuum line on the motor. I'm going to hold it right next to it and see if any of the smoke gets pulled into that vacuum line. It could be a cracked hose somewhere, vacuum hose. I don't know. I'm going to check around all of the electrical components on the top of the motor where the intake is. That's the most likely culprit, is somewhere around the intake. And I'm going to see if I just can't find this leak. It's driving me nuts. The car is running so smooth. There's no hesitation on acceleration. It takes off. It runs smooth. You can set the cruise. It'll go down the road at 55 miles an hour and just purrs like a kitten. My gas mileage is up, so I'm happy about that. There's no problem with starting. It clips right over. The whole issue is when I stop and idle, it's rough. So I really think I'm pulling air somewhere, and today I'm hoping I can find that, because it's one of those things that just kind of gnaws at you. But anyway, I've talked way too much. I'm going to get to work. I'm going to show you guys what I find in a couple of minutes, and we'll go from there. I've been around the entire top end of the motor, the entire intake manifold, all the way around it. I used a piece of cardboard to block the alternator because, of course, the alternator was, with the belt and everything moving, was generating some air, and I blocked the airflow there. I waited till both the fans in the front were off, the electric fans, the cooling fans, so that I had no airflow from there. I've been all over the top of the motor. I've been around everything I can find, every hose that I can find that is moving vacuum. I can find no leaks. It also seems to be running smoother this morning. One thing I did find last night, and I ran out and did, was after I replaced the O-ring on the idle air control, there was a guy I was watching, and I can't think of his name, and he said that it sometimes takes a while to, I think it's called Eric the Car Guy. And it said it sometimes takes a while for the computer to reset, so it's going to continue to run lean until it resets. So you can kill your battery for a little while, and it will reset your computer. And I did that, and I just went out, killed it, left it sit, and I just plugged it back up. So it was, I don't know, 8 hours or whatever it was overnight, 10 hours. And I just plugged the battery back in because I forgot I unplugged it. I turned the key, nothing happened. So I plugged the battery back in, car fired right up, no problem. And it's running smooth, and as I put my hand on top of the motor, I'm not feeling the rough idle that I was feeling. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go take a spin around the block, because that's when I noticed it the most. You can usually feel the vibration at the top of the motor, but you can hear it inside the car. So I'm going to go for a little spin. Maybe that was the problem, because you might remember when I put that idle air in, I had also found that the map sensor, the O-ring in that one had gotten crushed. So I replaced that. Maybe that cleaned it up, but then I had issue with the O-ring on the idle air, and that just caused the problem to continue on. So maybe I've got it fixed. I don't know. It feels pretty good. It sounds pretty good. It doesn't, the idle doesn't go up and down. It stays nice and level. It just idled rough. So I'm going to take it for a spin and see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted. Shut the hood, found the problem. Listen to this. Can you hear that rumble? That's my problem. It's resonating under the car, and I can hear it in the car. This is why I couldn't hear it with the hood up. Watch this. I think the problem is, luckily I did find that air leak. That was an issue with the idle air control, but I think the whole problem has been I need to adjust left and right of my hood, the tension on the hood. I think the hood is vibrating. I think that's my whole problem. Let me work on this for a minute and see what happens. This is a good catch. I'm lucky. Let me get back to you. I'm sitting out in front of my house. I just got back from a little trip around town. I hit several stop signs. I hit several stoplights, and the rough idle appears to be gone. And now here's the thing. I've been calling this a rough idle. If you look at my car, it idles at 850 RPMs. I've never seen any fluctuation whatsoever in the RPMs. It's just, it started getting louder as it sat there. And I think what's happening is, as the motor's idling, I think those two hood pins, and I'll show them to you in a few minutes, I think the hood pins have just worked their way down a little bit. They've just loosened up over time. I tightened them up, or raised them to tighten them so that they pressed against the hood a lot harder. And I am not having that loud noise any longer. The car is idling very smooth. And like I said, it always took off well, it always started well, and it always ran well once it was going. So I think the noise was just the hood, and I would hear that vibration of the hood while I was in the car, and that's why every time I got out of the car, I'd pop the hood to check it. I couldn't find anything because the hood's open. So I think I may have put this one to rest. So we'll drive it for a couple days. I'll keep you guys posted. Next up on this car is rear brakes and rear bearings. And then I think today I'm going to put this in the car, in the garage, and I'm going to go ahead and work on the wiring harness for my trailer hitch. I've got to get that done, so that's actually next. And then will be brakes and bearings. So I'm going to put it away for now. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I don't know what, I just stood there and for a few minutes right after I shut the hood with the car running, and I heard this vibration, and I touched the hood and it quit. So that was just a sheer stroke of luck. I had no idea or no clue to even try that. So I'm really, really happy. And I've been sitting here talking to you for a minute and a half, and the car's just been idling as smooth as silk. So I'm good. I'll come back and let you know what happens with this trailer hitch, wiring the harness up on it. All right, be back in a few minutes. Bye-bye. I've got the hitch wired up, and with a meter, everything's testing out great. Now, I won't know 100% until I plug this into the trailer, turn on the running lights, hit the left and right turn signal, and pop the brakes once or twice for 100%. But at this point, I'm 95% sure I've got everything taken care of. The green, yellow, and brown wires are pretty much a standard. As I looked up the wiring diagram for the GM vehicle, that's the same exact colors that the left and right tail lights as well as the running lights are. And then I've got a white wire that goes down to the bottom here, and I've grounded it into the trunk, so I should have a good ground right there. These are just some little splices, and I just put some tape on the top of them just to make sure no moisture got in. So I feel pretty good about that. All I have left to do is to run this wire underneath some of this this trunk cover, I'm not sure what you would call that, so that it can pop out down here over the edge and make it to the trailer. I've got everything tidied up inside the car. I've got all the material put back along the wall of the car, and I've got the wires tied up inside the trunk out of the way. All I need to do is remove a twist tie, drop them out of the trunk, shut the trunk, and there's enough play on this rubber seal right here that, you know, it can smash down and they can hang right out the back of the trunk. So leaving them inside the trunk there is safer because they're not going to get full of road grime and gunk and get all nasty. Which means I won't have to worry about bad contact because of so much corrosion and crap inside of the lines. So I'm real happy with that. All I need to do now is tomorrow, Monday, UPS on their website says that my package, which is the drawbar for the trailer hitch, is ready to be delivered. A buddy of mine had a 5,000-pound ball that he gave me. Should be ready to go. I should have to bolt this up to the drawbar, and I should be able to pop it into the hitch, and then I'll be able to give my friend a call about picking the trailer up and see what's convenient for him. So really excited about that. Next up on the car, I want to check my fluid levels. I noticed the other day when I shifted into gear, my transmission, it was kind of loud. It clunked a little bit. And you might remember a while back when I worked on the front end, I put 2 new CV joints in, and a lot of transmission fluid gets lost. I did refill it, but as it's run, you know, I'm worried that maybe the level has kind of leveled out. I might be a little bit low in there. From my research, that's generally what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. I'm going to check the power steering. I changed the oil, or my daughter changed the oil the other day. We're going to check the oil one last time. I've got about a quart of oil left in this 5-quart container, which means I've got enough to do the lawnmower. It's 10W30. So if I don't need any for the car, I'll just use that in the lawnmower, which I need to finish changing the oil in today. So a little bit more on the car today, and then we're gonna wind it up, and I'm gonna get into the shop and see what kind of trouble I can get into in there. All right, I'll be back in touch in a few minutes to let you know if I found anything with the oil levels in the fluid levels in the car. I checked out all the fluid levels, and everything looked pretty good. The transmission, if anything, might be a little overfull. You know, you've got the hashed line on there, and it's right at the top of that hashed line. I don't know if that will cause a problem or not. I'll keep an eye on it. I only heard the clunk once, and I haven't heard it since, but I will keep an ear open, and if I start hearing it again, we'll look closer at it. With that, I have finished all of the automobile projects that I wanted to work on today, so I'm going to go ahead and close this video down, and I'm going to thank you guys for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. And in this video, I may add a tiny bit of footage from yesterday's video if I find anything that's relevant. I just didn't have enough to really, there just wasn't any meat to it, so there might have been 1 or 2 clips that I'll use. I don't know. But I'll get this video together for you and get it posted tonight for tomorrow. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for hanging out with me. Have a great day, and I'll see you again real soon.